Let's learn Photoshop's new generative fill today. Super quick, how to use it. Let's go. So first things first, you're gonna wanna open the Creative Cloud app, whether it's on Mac or PC, and you're gonna go to your app section up here and then scroll all the way down where it says beta apps. And then this is where you're gonna wanna download Photoshop Beta. And Photoshop Beta is essentially the program that has the generative fill feature as of right now, making this video. I'm sure eventually it'll be in the main, program, but for right now you need Photoshop Beta. Eventually you will just need regular Photoshop. Once you have that, you can open it up in any photo. You can open it from Lightroom, you can open it, manually, whatever floats your boat. And we'll just kind of go over the basics of it, but I'll make an entire video on how to use the generative fill feature in the new Photoshop. But first things first, here you'll open your photo and you'll notice it all looks pretty similar to regular Photoshop. You can use whatever selection tool you want, whether it's the lasso, the box, whatever, and then you'll just kind of go and zoom in and, let's say I want to remove this car here. I'll select the general area of the car and I can hit generative fill. This is where I can type in whatever I want, like replace with a Lamborghini or remove car, or you don't even have to type anything. You could just leave it blank, hit generate, and it will automatically remove that object. So that's the cool part about generative fill, is you can tell it what to do or just let it do its own thing, and it's kind of a nice feature. It does take a hot second sometimes depending on your computer. I have a pretty beefy computer and it still takes a decent amount of time, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, once it's done, the car will be gone, and you'll have three options here under the AI prompt thing. So first I have my first option, second, third, and you can add a prompt if you would like. Because I did not add one, you can give it a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or report it. This is to kind of just help the beta understand what you're looking for and if it did a good or bad job. You can hide this bar, reset the bar position, and pin it to a specific spot. But the important thing that we're worried about right now is making that car disappear. So first, it looks like it decided to add the back of another car because I didn't tell it what to do. Second option is it added like a concrete barrier. Third option, it added some people. So none of these options were really that good. So I'm gonna go ahead and say remove car and then try to regenerate it and see what it does. Okay, now that I added a prompt, it added three more. So you have your first three still and the last three that it made. Looks like it added two more people again. If you wanted to, you could do it like this and then have the people removed after the fact, but I'm gonna hit next, it added another car, and then next it added another car. Now, the first time I used this on this specific photo and didn't type anything, it removed the car flawlessly. I don't know why it's struggling to do that now, but it did it with absolutely no problems. So sometimes you have to kind of go back and restart. So I'll go ahead and delete the generative fill layer it created and try to redo it. So this time I'll give it a little bit more room. I'll highlight a lot more of extra area. Sometimes this helps, sometimes this doesn't, and just do generative fill, no prompt. And boom, this time it just completely removed it. There's no car left. It even added a little one of these things, concrete barriers, and it did a great job. It looks exactly like it would if the car wasn't there. And you can even do, number 2 or number 3. And in my opinion, number 2 kind of looks better. Looks more systematic, or like it should. So that's one way to use generative fill. And that's to kind of just get rid of objects. That's honestly my favorite way to use it, but there is a couple of other ways to use it. I'm not gonna go into all of them. This is just kind of how to use it. The other way to use it is you can be a little bit more specific. So say I wanted to go on this photo here and add another cable car. I can kind of just select a random area, whether it's with whatever tool you want, and I can say add another cable car. Now, in theory, in a photo like this, it would be much easier to just use your tools at hand, like the clone stamp, to create the exact cable car, because as you can see here, it added like a cartoon looking cable car. And if we go through all three of our options, they all look very cartoony. And so in this specific scenario, you definitely wouldn't want to use generative fill, but it does show you that you can use stuff like that. And then one last example here. It's a very similar example, but I wanted to give a more realistic one. So say you have this photo and you want different mountains. I actually like the way these mountains look, but maybe I want to add some more back here. I can just select this general area and type in add a mountain range. And it may or may not do a good job. It just depends. Normally it does a really good job at adding in things like this. And it doesn't have to be something big either. You can add in something really small like an animal, and I'll show you one more example actually after this because I think that's going to be a good example as to how to use it. So in general, you'll use generative fill to remove things or add things or to alter photos in ways that you normally would take you like 14 hours to do in Photoshop. So as you can see in this example, that really just added like an extra couple of inches onto the mountains, but it did give me some options. Like this is kind of what I was looking for here, is adding like another layer of mountains. So the only thing I wish it would have done more is add them to be taller. But what I could do is just add the word tall, add a tall mountain range, and it might, raise it. So I do like this and I would maybe add it in there. But the last thing I would say here, say we have this photo here and I can just select this and I could say like add sleeping dog. Say I have a dog, or I wanted to pretend I had a dog or a fox or a bunny or something like that. You could add in something small. So I feel like this is a good example to show you can add big, small, or take away things. And it does a really good job at taking things away, a lot better than Content Aware, because it does use a library of photos from the internet, I don't know where, to kind of tell itself where and what things should look like. So in this sense, this dog looks really good. The lighting is very similar. It's a little off though. Maybe it's because the dog is a little too big. So we can pick different options. This one looks a little bit better. And then that one looks a little funky. So this is probably what I would go with here. And it even makes it blend in with the plants around it. And maybe I would darken the dog just a little bit just because that's the style of the photo. But as you can see, it does a really good job. So that's generally how to use the generative fill in Adobe Photoshop. There's so many other ways you can use it. Just go on TikTok and search generative fill and you'll find so many people using this in such weird ways. But other than that, we'll go over some more tips, tricks, and everything in a full video, but that's really it for this one, and I'll see you guys on the next one.